Hello, oct31. Watched your video last night. I know I left a comment. I just thought it'd be quicker for me just to do a recording rather than type loads of stuff in. It's quicker to talk. Okay, I've been a Christian for a while. The subject's only become interesting to me in the last month, really. In hindsight, I can see the church I go to is a Calvinist. It's Calvinist, and the one I went to before that was Calvinist as well. So I guess that's why I've never really questioned it. But I've started questioning it lately. I don't know all that much about the technicalities of Calvinism and Arminianism and all that. But I do get the once saved always saved thing, or the once saved kept saved, as you called it. And that seems to flow from this tulip from the Calvinism. You said that Calvinism is kind of completely consistent, it's logically consistent theology, and I'm not sure, but I'm not that convinced about that actually. I think it is logically consistent if you drop out a lot of verses, specifically the warnings, and there are a lot of warnings about falling away. Just for example, some of the parables, the vine and the branches that don't abide, they're cut out and burnt. The point here, the thing I notice is that they were part of the vine at one point. The sower, do you remember the guy sows the seed, and some falls on the path, some falls on the good soil. It's kind of interesting because there are three results there. The seed that falls on the path, nothing happens, dormant. These are people that reject Christ. And there's the seed that falls on the good soil, and there's a harvest. And there's that group that begin to grow. The seed begins to grow. It really does begin to grow, but then nothing comes of it. It gets choked. So there was growth, there was initiation into the things of God, but it didn't come to anything. The virgins and the lamps, they haven't got enough oil in the lamps, and they get shut out of the feast. The point being, I guess, is that they had some oil. At one point they had oil. And Paul talks about, it's not just the parables, Paul talks about Israel coming out of Egypt. He even says they were baptized into Christ, so to speak, yet they complained against God, they rebelled against God, and they died in the desert. Well, most of them did, not all of them, but the vast majority of them. They came into genuinely came into the things of God, but they were still lost. And in fact, last night at church, the reading was, I think, Corinthians. Paul talks about an athlete striving like an athlete, and he says, having convinced others, having brought others into the things of God, he's keen that he should not be found wanting himself. I don't know how you interpret that, but it seemed to me, almost like he's concerned that he might be lost. But of course, he was a Christian, so I don't know. Maybe there are different interpretations to that. You also talked about experience. You said don't go by experience, but it seems to me that the Bible says we should a lot of the time. Especially when we're looking at other Christians, for example, is someone living in sin, then they won't see God. There are those lists, aren't there? The murderer, the fornicator, etc., etc. Will not see God. I think it's in the New Testament multiple times, that list. So I think experience, how people are living. I think that is important. Jesus says, "By their fruit you shall know them." And I actually did. I looked the wiki up. I did a wiki on John Calvin, and apparently he had someone burnt alive, and that I don't know. I'm not gonna, obviously it's a long time ago. They did all sorts of crazy things back then, but it it did make me wonder. I mean, does someone with the spirit of the living God in them burn people alive? I don't know. I don't know. Anyway, thanks for your time. Let me know what you think. Okay, bye.